Welcome back, everyone. Time to paint. Let's zoom out a little. I was showing some stuff earlier. I guess I could show it. No jazz man. We're going to do the clue. The clue. Here's his body. I left the head separate just so I could get into his collar easier. So this is the guy we're going to work on. I like this figure a lot. In case you don't know, I will link it. Hold on, give me a second. There you go. Go support Mark and his little miniature range. He's making cool stuff. You also get a video tutorial from him if you buy the figure, so that's pretty cool. That Mark guy knows what he's doing. But yeah, we're gonna start on this guy. I have a sort of direction in mind. I'm thinking some sort of autumn afternoon, something along those lines. So that should be pretty fun. Little things from Adepticon. Yeah, I painted some Space Marine heads in my class. This guy eyes are not very good, but you can see did a little class painting. Another little Space Marine head. It could be more refined, but for a like 30-minute to an hour long Space Marine head under a not so great camera for painting Space Marine heads, I think he's okay. Yeah, I hope everyone had a good time. One more little thing. If you guys checked out the Golden Demon results, you probably saw this guy's name twice come up, but David Diamondstone gave me this as a gift at Adepticon. It's Fade from Kingdom Death. I think it's super cool, and it will go in my cabinet of Kingdom Death minis. Slowly collecting some different Kingdom Death minis from some of my painter friends, and yeah, I think it's super neat. There's a little baby back there. The little baby hidden in there. But yeah. So thank you very much, David. I appreciate it very much. Okay. Flapjack Nickelsack. Hi. Welcome. Thanks for the prime. I appreciate it. So yeah, let's get started on this guy. I've grabbed a few colors. I don't normally paint with a lot of heavy bodies, and I might switch this one out depending, but I've grabbed some colors. We're going to work in a kind of limited palette for right now. I've grabbed a transparent raw umber, a red oxide. Normally, Gary, they're like swaps. Duralide yellow, radiant turquoise to desaturate, cool off some of the skin tones, and titanium white. So 5 colors. I might add in this guy for some extra red, but this is what we're going to start with. Hey Eric, took your back to basics class at Adepticon and it blew my mind. Thanks for the great experience. No, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. That's, I think, my favorite class actually right now. I enjoy that one. It's an interesting topic, I think. So we're gonna get some of this guy. It's a nice dark brown. This will work basically something like our black. Let's get some red oxide. This will be the major basis to our skin tone. some Duralide yellow, which is like a nice orangish yellow. Okay. No idea if I'm saying that correctly, but that's what I'm going with. Some titanium white. We're going to need quite a bit of that guy to give us some opacity to our paints. And then the radiant turquoise to cool off. This will work to desaturate. Basically, I'm using this in place of like ultramarine blue. I don't really feel like there is any great ultramarine blue in any like miniature ranges at the moment. So sorry, Chimera, I love your paints, but not a big fan of the ultramarine. Okay. I know, so what we're going to do is we're going to start by just starting to like block in. So I'm going to mix up some different tones here. So using some of the umber, some of the red oxide, some white. Okay, maybe a little more of the umber. We'll get a nice dark skin tone. This will be sort of our shadow color. I'm going to grab just a touch of the blue to cool it off. Not too much. I want like a nice kind of warmish color here. Yeah, ultramarine blue from Citadel is definitely not ultramarine pigment. I don't think anyways. If it is, it's mixed with a whole bunch of other stuff. All right, so what we can do is we're going to look for these shadow colors, right? So, and like I've given myself a rough, the zenithal, so we should be able to just begin to block in some zones of the face. Well, I want a pure pigment. I have not tried I think there's the gold. I should try like the golden so flat ultramarine blue. See if that one works well. Sin 13, hello. So really sort of roughly just blocking in kind of the color, the shadows here. Get a estimate for where these are going to go. The hand. Oops. Get some junk off of this. Hello from Brittany? Who's Brittany? Or where's Brittany? Is Brittany a place or a person? Ah, it's from France. Bonjour, monsieur. Okay, get a little shadow under the eye there. And then we'll shadow some of these areas. How was my Adepticon? My Adepticon was great. Yeah. really nice. I like the new venue. I like the walkability of the venue. It is a little big, but I mean, we'll grow into it. The only thing I wasn't the biggest fan of was I found it a little harder to just kind of run into people. There was quite a few people that I know were there, and like, I just never saw them. I mean, I know they were probably like working their booth and stuff. Like Tim Marsh, for example, I think I ran into once. So yeah, just a lot of people being busy and such. That part of his neck all goes down into the hood or the collar where he has his what's it called? Scarf. Scarf is the word I'm looking for. Okay, so there we have a bit of the shadows blocked in. Now let's mix we're going to mix a couple lights here, okay? So what I need is a good amount of white. Let's start with like a just sort of base skin tone, right? Just sort of a neutral one, and then we can make adjustments from there. So we have our white plus the Dairylite, then we'll get some red oxide. Okay, that's all right, but it's kind of peachy at the moment. Yeah, it's quite pink. So we're going to add a little bit more of the yellow, and then we'll add some of the umber to kind of reduce the saturation and lights just a little bit. And now we've got kind of a neutral sort of skin tone here, okay? Yeah? How about that? Derpa-deb. Hello, Eric. I wanted to pop in and say I was thrilled finally getting a chance to take the class from you. I learned so much and I'm going to be practicing faces. You're very welcome. Thanks for attending. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, I had a really good time. A lot of people came up to say hello and watch the stream, enjoy the Feedback Fridays. So that was cool. Quite appreciated. Okay, so now I'm going to take and over here, I'm going to have one with a little bit more yellow to it. All right, so this is going to be sort of the upper zone of the face, a bit more saturated. And then down here, I'm going to take some of this guy and make a more reddish tone. And a little bit more white. More red. Okay, so now we have like a kind of red, neutral, and slightly more yellowish. And we can come over here. Can add more blue to it. A little bit more yellow, a little more blue. And we don't want it to really look blue, like this is too gray. So I'm going to add a little more of this guy, a little more of this guy. A bit more white. More yellow, more blue. All right. And then this will be sort of his beardy area. Okay. So using this guy, I can start to block in some of these regions. Right, so there we have this more reddish tone. And then up top, we're going to grab some of this guy. We'll shift a little more yellow. And sort of in this middle area, like around his upper lip, kind of come back to this sort of neutral color. So we start to get some of the color regions, right? Now, on the shadow, you might be asking, like, well, Eric, why didn't you do that on the shadow side? Because the shadow side, you have less clear color variation, right? The light makes it much more clear, some of these colors. So we can reduce a little. Okay, something like that. And then in the ear, we want a good amount of this red. Making sense so far? I hope so anyways. Dom's Minis, thanks for the prime. I appreciate it. Good morning to you. Okay, so yeah, so we just have like a rough, like kind of blocking, right? Now we can start to begin to transition some of these areas. I'm going to take some of the more of this raw umber. Just shadow this. What's going on? Who's this? Boy Dalen B? Boy Dalen B? Hello, thanks for the prime. And Basde Miniatures? Basde Miniatures? You go miniatures? You go to miniatures? Buenas noches. ¿Qué tal? I appreciate it. Thanks for Prime. Thanks for the first time chatting, joining us live. . All right, so here I'm going to start to create some of these like transitional halftones, okay? So the idea is to begin to soften these transitions, yeah? And in certain areas, I'm going to want like a lot more of this red. Things like around the eyes, around the mouth, the nose. And so the goal is to start to create some of these like softer volumes. We're going to start to sketch in some of these softer volumes in order to create some shadows, air quote shadows, in some of these light areas, okay? The turtle head. Your Space Marine head video helped me to push my mini to a notable entry. Hope to take a class with you next year. I'm glad to hear that. Congratulations to everyone. Even if you just entered, you know? Like, happy to see you giving it a shot. But yeah. If you entered Golden Demon or Resin Beast or P3 or whatever, happy to see it. I'm glad that you gave it a go, and extra congratulations if you got a pin or a trophy. Will I enter a Golden Demon again at some point? Never know. Never say never, I guess. Hi, Mark. Speaking of Golden Demon and students doing well, both of our student, Mr. Borhita, Mr. Borhammer, big congrats to him on his Slayer sword. I know Mark did quite a bit of coaching on that one, on the on all the feathers. Those feathers definitely scream some Mark. Well, yeah. I actually found it quite funny to look at Borja's model and kind of see all the influences, because he's had obviously a ton of influence from Alfonso, but also like the influence of Mark on the feathers, the influence of Arnau on the metallics, a bit of my influence on the base, and sort of the atmosphere. It's really cool to see, you know, each person kind of going into their own, you know, each little parts. We'll go to Essen. Mark's going to go to Essen. I think I'll also go to Essen since I'm going to be in in over there anyways. Hey Mark, have they officially said, can we say about the week before SMC? I don't know if that's public. Okay, let's get some color on the hand. I think we need to just see some color here. All right. So for the hand, I want to push the red a bit more because the fingers tend to be quite reddish. I hope I'm doing something in that little island on the shores of Europe, the one that has a king. Iceland? Greenland. Greenland has a king, right? The Danish king. Yeah. Or no, that's queen, right? Inferno. Hello. How are you? Yeah, we want a little bit more red here on the hands. Kote Ow. Hello, thanks for the prime. Adepticon was great. Thanks. It was really good. Really fantastic show and venue. I think they did a really good job. Can't wait for next year. It was actually pretty energizing. I've been a little tired lately, and all the positive feedback and everything about the stream and about, the classes has given me some hype to, work on things. All right, let's take some of this guy and some of the red oxide and mix them together. Get a nice dark color here. Yeah, it's really great to see all students doing well. Just good community, Oh yeah, my in fact, one of the guys that got gold. So the guy that got gold in Age of Sigmar unit, he did these 3 wolves, these like goblin riders on wolves. He came up to me and thanked me for doing the streams and just mentioned like, hey, I was working on my Golden Demon entry and was watching the stream, and something he said is like he didn't submit his own piece, but he watches the stream, and something I said, I guess, clicked for him on his piece, and gave him some information to make some adjustments. So that was cool. So even if you don't submit or to have your piece given feedback, I think there's things you can take away from the feedback sessions. Hello, Shrek. Malcolm, I helped you get a finalist pin. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Congratulations on your finalist pin. Finalist pin's pretty dang good, man. Pretty good. Good stuff. I was going to ask for your feedback, like at the show. I don't mind. You just have to come say hello. Yeah, I try and give everyone feedback when I can, Now, if I'm running off to class, that might not be the best time, but if it's like after the award ceremony, that's typically like the best time. Then I can look at it in hand and typically a little better. So you can see we're trying to add a nice amount of red here. All right, so just kind of blocking in. Now, let's push the light a little bit, okay? So we're going to take some more yellow and a good amount of white. Let's start just blocking in some highlights, okay? We've got sort of the lights and shadows in. Let's start to place just some highlights. What is it? Somebody gifting subs? Inferno, the tier 1, the Turtle Dad. Thank you. I appreciate it. Hello from Minnesota. Okay, so now we're going to get some of this little square right here. So you often see, you can kind of see it on me. See this little square shape, right? Can you see that? A little bit on the cheek. Get a little highlight on the nose. I'm going to push a highlight up here. A little on the forehead, on the nostril. And we'll smooth this out, but I'm just trying to like rough in the shape, okay? We're being a bit impressionistic at the moment. Something like such. Let's zoom out. Let's take it in like from here, yeah? You can start to see sort of the... We're just trying to get like the planes of the face in, sort of get things blocked in. Get some of the color in, right? Get the values correct. Get some of the volumes correct. And then we'll really start to like refine, okay? I'm using a bit of a bigger brush at the moment. Yeah, because I'm not super focused on details at the moment. Here I want a bit more red. I'll tone this back when it starts to get refined, but like this stronger reddish color is like sometimes when you have like a really strong light source, you can, the bit of like subsurface scattering in the skin will cause like the light to shine through the skin there and create a more sort of reddish tone. Stitch pattern next week. Yeah, there will be some sort of stitch pattern, but I'm not going to say which kind. We'll leave it to be a surprise. Same here in the ear where you have a lot of thin skin, right? There tends to get a little more reddish as the light kind of like bounces around in there. So we're going to sort of overdo it, and then as I blend it together, it'll soften out. You also get quite a bit of red sort of here in the eye. Hello. Hi, Steve. Right. Something like that. What are some of your favorite golden demon entries this year aside from the Slayer sword? All my favorites I shared to my stories, but my favorites besides obviously I like what's it called? The oh yeah, let me share Mark's bust, you know. But yeah, I like Borges. I love Raph's Chaos Dwarf. I think it's fantastic. Super good sculpting. Like he just absolutely nailed the like sculpting aesthetic of Games Workshop. It's like that's in itself is super impressive. The paint job is really good. Thibaut's Orc in 40K is like near technical perfection. Like it's super good. Which else did I really like? James Taro's little tank, spider tank thing was pretty cool. The spider tank, I quite liked that. Oh, Andy's horse was really nice. Yeah. There's some stuff about the base that I didn't love, but it's just me being picky about how I like bases. But the actual like composition and everything of it is super nice. What else? What else? Enric's or Fenric, depending on who wanted to use his real name, Indrik. His Age of Sigmar, or no, sorry, Lord of the Rings, Middle-earth piece was really nice, and I think it should have done better, but that was one of the few sort of pieces I think that I didn't quite agree with. I think in general I was like pretty positive about the the judging. I think it went super well. What kind of approach do you like to see on bases? So I don't think Andy would mind me telling you what I don't like about his base. And I don't think it's a bad base. This is just my personal opinion. I don't like particularly when you mix styles. So like Andy's base is like really, there's a lot about it that's like super realistic, which I think is really nice. And like really well executed. Like dude can paint he needs to like package his own dirt and sell it because it's awesome looking. But the what I don't think worked particularly well is like he used like the plastic ferns and the style and sort of scale mismatch for me, where it's like I actually prefer like because of the stylistic nature of Warhammer figures, I prefer bases that are a bit more in the style. Like if imagine like if you bought a figure and it came with a base, right? Like if GW just sculpted the base for you, like that's the kind of bases I personally like on GW models. Outside of that, yeah. Who had my favorite base? I wonder. Obviously, I liked Raph's. It was sculpted really well to sort of the aesthetic. I also think Thibaut's orc base was really nice. He didn't have really any foliage or anything on it, so it's a little easier to kind of match that style when you don't have to deal with plants and things. Did anyone else have a Ninja? To be honest, okay. Don't mean any offense. I actually like the base on Ninja's piece better than the figure itself. I just find the figure like it's too much. The fur and stuff is like all this edge highlighting on the fur looks really unnatural. I liked Zaba's, how he like carved or sanded off the fur and did it freehand. It feels more in scale and stuff to me. But Ninjon's base was pretty cool with like it had like a mirror in there or something to like give it like this extra depth that was pretty neat. It was good. Congrats to him. But yeah, I think I actually preferred the base over the figure itself. Eric McCartney had a cool one. Which one was that? Pierre. He got gold in 40k unit with the Sisters of Battle. I thought that one was super nice. Like the whole composition was really good. McCartney, the Night Lord and Heresy, that was nice. It was rather simple, but yeah, it worked. All right, so here's let's do this. Let's take some of this guy, some of this guy, some of that. A little more blue, just a touch of white. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to mix up sort of a shadow color for the far side of the face. That's like a little bit of a bounce light. Something cooler in sort of these grayish tones, but lighter than my shadow color. I haven't decided, so really the bounce light would probably be quite affected by whatever color his scarf is. So that's something I will have to consider, but I can always filter that back on top of the bounce light once I've kind of chosen a color. But here I just want to sort of fill in some of this to give some shape to the side of the face. Something like that, right? So it's sort of silhouettes. Okay, so it still exists in my shadow range, right? But it is lighter, something just a bit lighter than what I had. So it gives some bit of rim lighting, right? So now I have a core shadow and then the rim light, the bounce light here. Liver Eating Johnson, hello. I don't know, what were your guys' favorite pieces from Golden Demon? Anything particular, like any sleepers, huh? Sebastian Miniatures with the raid. Hello, welcome, guys. Did you guys have any sleeper hits, huh? Thank you, thank you. Glad to be back. What were you doing? What were you working on? Yep, I know the dreamer. I know the one. Yeah, he did. Tebow's custom sculpt in open was super cool. I don't know who Alana Sedai from the Wheel of Time is, but I've seen the first season and I remember none of the characters. It is a very cool piece, Refs. All right, so I think that's probably pretty good for blocking it in. Yeah. I think now we can kind of move on and start to refine a little bit. Just cover the eyes. Get some shadows in there. Something like that. Am I liking the artist? Yeah, man, I love my egg. What minis did I bring back? I showed it a minute ago, but I brought back this cool thing from David Diamondstone. He painted it for me. It's Fade from Kingdom Death Monster. I didn't bring back many figures to paint. I got the Space Wolf they were giving away. Other than that, not much, really. I left with way less figures than I went with, I'll tell you that much. All my class figures and stuff I gave away. Let's just throw some of this umber on his hair just to kind of kill some of this gray. Just get like a mood, you know. It's sort of transparent, so I just want to have sort of a starting point here, some sort of color down just so I can get a sensation for the values. I don't want to overdo it can often be difficult to sort of judge the values of your piece because you have kind of, if there's too much white, it can sort of throw off your perception. So even if I'm not trying to completely paint and render the hair right now, even just something as simple as that can kind of give me a better sensation for how the values and stuff are going. How do we think so far? Sort of give you a rough idea on the sort of shapes of the face and things here. I mean, that was an hour just kind of sketch that out, like. But yeah, we can take this, you know, and begin to like further refine it. Which means I'll probably switch brushes and begin to like work on areas more detailed. All right, I'm going to take a quick 5-minute break and come back and keep working on this guy. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Let's switch brushes here, huh? Let's start working a little more refined, okay? So I'm gonna pick him up. Make sure I'm on the camera. Does anyone get a certain sensation of a particular artist from this face? I've been looking at a certain portrait painter recently as kind of inspiration, and maybe some of you pick up on it, maybe not. I don't know. I'm curious. I'm sure there is some Rembrandt influence of this artist, but no, not who I was particularly thinking of. I'll give you a hint. He's an American. That should narrow it down a little bit. Eric, do you do close classes in the local area? No, not really. Not Norman Rockwell, though I do love some Norman Rockwell. Oh, there we go. Steve got it. Mr. Jones, Singer Sargent. I know he's more kind of known for painting portraits of women, but now it's going to look a lot less like Sargent as we kind of go, because he's sort of known for his impressionistic style, but he's one of my favorite portrait artists. Sargent's not that old. I mean, 1900s, and relatively, I guess, not that old. Relatively speaking. No, I did not sculpt this. Who is the sculptor on this one? This one was... Who sculpted this? Raul Latorre sculpted this one. So yeah, as we kind of go, it's going to lose a bit of that Sargent look because he was pretty loose, particularly around things like hair and stuff. He had a tendency to be quite loose. And we're going to be a little more rendered. But I think a bit of the initial blocking and things was inspired by his portrait technique. Why you put the brush in my mouth to just get the point nice. It's clean, don't worry. All right. So let's push the highlights a little more. There's a couple areas where we're going to want nice strong highlights, particularly on like the nose tends to have more oil in it, so you get sharper highlights. Low JC. This is how big it is. It's the size of it's the size of my thumb, I guess. I think that's tiny. How about this? How about that little face? This is huge in comparison. This thing's a giant. Oh, we've been talking about Adepticon the whole time, but yeah, it was great. It was really good. Really, really enjoyed it this year. Everybody did a fantastic job, from the organizers to the all the events people, right? Vendor hall was great. Oh, Richard, you weren't there, Richard? Oh, I didn't notice. Yeah, I think it was super well organized and everything. It was really good. All right, so what I need to do is a very, very tiny detail, but I need to bring some shadow up over the nostril here. Kind of define that shape. When would I consider this piece finished? Well, I could paint the hair and paint the eyes and call it finished right now, but we're going a little more rendered than that. Finished is a bit subjective, you know. Finished is when you decide you're done. But I'm going for a bit more of a rendered look. So we're going to push it. Now, there will be diminishing returns. Are you going to blend in the red parts? Everything's going to get blended. Everything's going to get blended. Now, I want it to be clear that there's red, like zones. Yeah. Don't want them to go away. Real question. I started painting his hands as gloved because mine has no nails sculpted at all. Does yours have nails? Yes, he has nails. See them? They're just kind of subtle. But yeah, he has nails. They're like, you can see like they're there. So one of the goals here is going to be to just slowly add more and more kind of rendering and subtlety. Like he's got little wrinkles around his eyes and things, and we're just going to slowly push it until we are happy with the level of finish. And when that will be, I cannot say. I'll know when I know. Brutal Burrito with the Prime. Hello, welcome. Thank you. Yeah, this is the body. He's like Sherlock Holmes. He's thinking. He's solving mysteries. Who done it? Huh? What? Who's judging Golden Demon? What? Oh, he's judging Golden Demon. I was like, what are you talking about? Making jokes. No, this is how you judge a Golden Demon. That's how. I don't know. I was sick before Adepticon. I haven't really talked to anybody too sick. I just had crappy allergies beforehand. I came home and it's like 70 some degrees outside and everything's covered in yellow. It's the best. Really just my favorite time of the year. I am Balike. Thank you for the follow. Welcome to the stream. Alright, so yeah, I'm just kind of like doing a little stippling, just trying to get some of this shape in. I want to get a little bit of this gray around his mouth. So we're going to adjust the color here some. Is the beard, right? Thanks, Ethan. I can't stand it, dude. The pollen sucks. It is rough out there right now. It's out to get me. So we want to start to soften some of these shadows. I don't want them like too intense here. They look a little more intense on camera than they do actually in hand. But we're going to soften this down just a little bit. And I have like kind of one eye in shadow here. All right, let's get his upper lip. We have kind of an area here. What I probably did, I probably need to bring the skin tone down a little bit. You tend to have a bit more flesh tone. Like his beard would be quite high at the moment. There's typically a bit of a like space here. Okay. So I'm going to pull that, adjust this sort of skin tone to a bit more of a neutral one, not quite so gray in these areas. It's a subtle difference, but it's kind of accurate. Just keep creating a bit of variance. Some of these smaller muscles of the jaw, right? I do not, actually. I do not know this. There's like this muscle right here. It kind of connects and comes up like this. I do not know the name of that one. You're making stuff up. The masseter and Rosorius. All right. Very interesting. I don't think you were close at all. The mandible is the bone, yeah. This is your mandible, your jawbone. Damn bones. Well, let's put some light in his eyes just to make me feel a little better. Not perfect, but clean it up. I just wanted to get something there so that it's not so just gray. You can see just how dark of a gray I'm using on the shadow side, and that it still looks like quite white, yeah? That's like a 35. All right, so the other one to get is like, look, okay, here, yeah. So you should be able to see on me, there is like a thin sort of reddish, especially if I do this. Yeah, like there is some reddish here, but it's the line that separates the bottom eyelid is like not nearly as dark as the line that separates the upper eyelid. Okay. So we want to get that, but we don't want it to be like as dark as the upper eyelid. All right, so something even subtle like that works. Where the upper eyelid, we can go like pretty dang dark. All right, we're trying to get that shadow line. I was painting that Black Crow elf and painting his eyes, and it felt size difference of a 1/12 bust. Yeah, he's a little guy. Paint some 75mm eyes. Those, then you really feel how small they are, because they're not a whole lot bigger than 35mm eyes. So I want to adjust this shape a little bit. This is sort of the angle I want the light coming in. So you can see the shadow here is maybe a little far over. So I'm going to push a little more light that direction. A different expectation. No, I expect the eyes to be perfect. I want to see the galaxy in his eyes. Paint a reflection of the environment. Maybe what's he going to be looking at? He's going to be looking at some... Maybe he's at a crime scene and I'm going to just paint a whole crime scene in his eyes, you know? I want it so small I can like zoom and enhance, pull some CSI and just keep zooming and enhancing. Zoom, enhance, zoom, enhance. But for real, like, yeah, there's definitely diminishing returns. It reaches a certain point where, like, if you can't see it in hand, yeah, I don't know how worth it is to continue to try and, like, really push some details to the point where it just becomes like noise. The shapes, you guys, they're more important. Even on this guy, as I'm working, it's like, can you really tell that much of a difference from here? You know, where he was? Probably not. But when you do this, oh geez, stop shaking, camera. You know, we start to get some nice little color variation and things. I don't know what you guys think at this scale, huh? Look at that. Look at this garbage painter missing this tiny little mark in here and then not painting the nostril black. Noob. Yeah, pick his nose with some of that really dark brown. Get that brush in there. Oh, yeah. Swab around in there. This is one of my favorite parts of mini painting, though, is sort of this like level of work, right? When you start to take a sketch like we had before, like the sketch was fun, you know, it took us an hour, but now we've painted on them another hour, and you can really start to see like the some of these details start to come together, and some of the more complexity and micro volumes of the face and stuff. Did I end up finishing it? He is currently abandoned. I did sort of what I wanted to on stream. I might go back to him at some point, but right now, just kind of having fun with this guy, you know? There's a lot of non-metallic on the elf that I just kind of didn't really want to sit and refine. Sometimes I'm in the mood for that, and sometimes I'm not. Right now I'm in the mood to paint some skin tones and really like have fun pushing on some of this stuff. What unpainted neck? You mean the neck that goes into his what's it called? That unpainted neck that goes into his scarf? Oh, okay. I'll make sure I get that. Don't worry. Yeah, so would Albert. But doesn't mean it's a good use of your time. All right. Let's look at the, let's zoom out again. Okay. See how we feel. I'm feeling okay. I think in general, the face is going pretty well. I think maybe still there's work to do on the chin. I think this could be a little more rounded here, especially considering he has the scarf. And that's going to go kind of underneath. So I think we'll take and sort of glaze this down. Gonna want that quite dark. Is it based off a real person? Is the sculpt based? I don't know. You'd have to ask Raul. I don't know if he had a model in mind. I would say it has definitely like inspired by Benedict Cumberbatch from Sherlock. I think would be a pretty safe bet. But yeah, I don't know if it has any like facial model in particular. I would guess no. I think Raul's just doing his thing. With a bit of Bimbadim Cumberbun. Barnaby cucumber splashed in there. Okay, let's begin to blend some of this guy. Work on the shadow side a little bit. can see I'm being pretty thin now. This umber is also a pretty transparent paint, so I can make pretty small adjustments to the shadows here. I also have like this to be slightly more rounded. A little bit more yellow in the forehead, just a touch. I have to give them eyebrows at some point, but all right, I think time for another break. I'd like to work on it some more. I'm having fun. I'm having fun with it. So yeah, I think I'll take another quick break and then we'll kind of continue on. One thing I want you guys to kind of look at, right? I talked about this a little bit before when I was talking about rim lights and stuff. Look how, so this is all like oranges and browns and flesh tones and things, right? Oranges and reds, browns. Look just how blue the flat gray primer looks. On the shadow side. Like, can you see how blue that appears? This is why when I say like cold shadows, I don't necessarily mean like actually blue. Because like just neutral gray can often look quite bluish in comparison. But cool. All right. I will be back in a few. Hello. All right, I'm back. Hello. Can I rewind the video to see how it went? Hey, the full YouTube video will be on YouTube tomorrow. So you can watch the VOD. All right, I think we're gonna switch to tiny mode. All right. Time for the glasses to come out. Dun 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 dun. So we can start painting some really small details, huh? Really start focusing on some super refinement. So one thing I want to do is here around the hand. Okay. Take some of this shadow color. Make sure I'm on camera. I'm going to pinch his chin a little, right? So, talked about occlusion shadows before, but when two objects get really close together, they create a little shadow. Yeah? Because bounce light can't really get in there. So what we're going to do is create a little bit of a shadow between his hand and his chin. Which will pinch his chin just a touch. Because he's like pushing his finger against his hand against his chin, right? Push a little highlight here. I want to add a little touch more yellow to the light. And I want to add just a bit of light to a little highlight to the chin itself. So we're doing this in much more subtle dots and things, right? As we get more detailed, the finer, the thinner layers we work in to make smaller and smaller adjustments. You know what I mean? Sim judges probably don't use magnifiers at competitions, but it'd be funny and people sweat if you walk away. Yeah. Actually, that would be pretty funny as a joke, but no, I've judged plenty and I've never used magnifiers. Worked at a grocery store and there was an old man who would always pull a magnifying glass out of his pocket and look at the receipts. Just inspecting your ability to ring things up. In one of your classes over the weekend, you were mentioned a painter that paints extremely fast, like a full bust in 3 hours. Do you remember who you're referring to? Yeah, Trent Denizen, Australian legend, Big Deno. I've seen him do it. Yeah, he's a quick one. I mean, I'm pretty fast. He's fast. All right. I think this little part of his nose here is slightly too gray for me. I'm gonna just thinly kind of adjust this. I'm gonna bring back just a touch of color here. Let's paint the eyes a little bit. So I want sort of this gray. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna thinly take some of this reddish tone, just in like a glaze, or you could call it a wash glaze. I'm just gonna apply it to the eyeball, around the corners of the, like around the perimeter of the eye. I don't want it to be like, I'm not super trying to affect the color, but I want to give like that bit of red in the corners and around the bottom. I don't know, who do you guys think is who's the fastest miniature painter you've seen? I can tell you another guy who's really fast. Hello, hello. Rodrigo Cipres, or Rodrigo Acore, you may know him, is also like absurdly fast. Arno is also very fast. I think Arno and I are about the same speed. If I had to, based on how long he's told me it's taken him to paint certain figures, I'm like, yeah, okay, that seems about right. Hi, Gone Beyond Dice, and Rennie Senshi. Thanks for following. I'm going to tone down parts of these cheeks just a little bit. Not too much. I like the warm color it has. I even think like something like this guy, like after an hour, I could have painted the eyes and moved on and been like, yeah, sure. done enough, you know, but that's one of those things that's like very much I don't know how done do you call done, you know? Good evening, Saint Turbo. How are you? I did a video for, on Beyond One, I did a video for Miniature Art Academy also, where I painted the orc. So if you want to see that process, you can check it out over there. Oh, let's paint his eyes. Let's get some brown. All right. So, eyeballs. You guys ready? Bum, 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 bum. Make sure I'm on camera. So, not quite perfect. So let's adjust the shape. Pretty good. Okay, here's the thing to note about that one's not good though. I need to clean up the whites of the other eyes. Here's the thing. Here's a thing to note about the actual iris. It should be about half the width of the eyeball. Okay. forget this one. So I got a bit on the iris, but that's fine. Or the upper eyelid. I don't care about the upper eyelid that much. I can go back and clean that up. I just want to make sure I get this outline in before I paint the iris. All right, now I'm going to take some of this lighter brown. I'll paint the other one in a second. While that dries, I'll paint. So the light's coming in from the top left. So we're going to try and paint a little U. I'm trying to leave a little bit of that dark brown separating the eye, okay? And I could clean up this shape just a touch. All right, now I'm going to take some white, maybe just a touch of the yellow, add it to the brown, and then inside that, how do we feel about the size of his eyes? Are they maybe slightly small? Might be. No problem, we make the adjustment, and then we've got to like fix the U a little bit. Come on. Is the bottom of the U parallel to the circle? Parallel to the circle. Don't quite understand the question. Yeah, so the light comes in, right, this direction, and the eye is like a glass, right? So it passes through the eye and it reflects off the bottom because your iris is like shaped like this. It's a let me just draw it. So, right, if you were to look at an eyeball from the side, it would be like this, right? But the iris itself is shaped like this. So the light comes in, okay? So it's shaped like that. The light comes in and bounces off the like bottom of the eye, right? And comes back out. Shape still not quite exactly how I want it. Just make a small little adjustment there. And then we're going to take the black. It's okay if we end up like he got a little cat's eye there. That's fine. We can always come back and adjust it. Right. Like so. And then we take the white. We want to make sure it's flowing nicely, not too watery, like this might be too watery. Dot, 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 right? It worked on my finger, right? Dot, 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 dot. Ta-da. Okay, now I'm going to push a little highlight in the eyelid, make this look a little wet. And we already painted the tear duct. So there you go. How to paint an eyeball. Thanks, Useless Wizard. Hope you are too. Good evening, baby stapler. All right. So that's one eye done. We could, if we wanted to get slightly fancy, I could take some of this red here and just carefully try and put a little bit more in the corner of the eye, just a touch. Something like that. Thanks. It's a 5 Sherlock shadow. 5 o'clock. Come on, Richard. This is what you're here for. My Adepticon was great, thank you. Red Yeti, thanks for following. Welcome. What else do we want? I think we need to reduce just a little bit here. Just try and push this shadow here just a touch more. Try and line his lips a little bit. Get this dimple. Nice and dark. Where else? What else do we need to do? Go give it a crack. Paint some eyeballs. Give him a couple of wrinkles. All right, other eye now. So the other eye is in shadow. So really we just need to get the shape right, the same position and angle. Just nail this one on my first try. I didn't, but that's okay. He should be looking a little more to the, that way. Should be looking more this direction with this other eye. It's not way off, but just not quite right. So let it dry. Okay. So I'll extend it slightly. Sorry. This is gonna like distract the camera. It's gonna be like, I'm gonna focus on that. So now we have to come back with this gray shadow color and adjust the whites here. We don't want to do too much in terms of like going overly detailed on these, because this eye is supposed to be in shadow. But we will paint a bit of the U. So you can see like just doing too much light there can quickly like make it look blown out. So we're going to darken it back down. I think I do need to connect it to the bottom because the other one is just a touch. So just needs to come down slightly. That's better. Feedback Friday is this week. Yeah. Yep, ski. Darken that just a touch, and then we're going to push the light here a little bit in this corner. To get this shape right. Something like that. And then we need to line his lower eyelid, but not too much. So we're going to use like a dark, one of these darker colors. Right, something that's just enough to outline it. So I actually think his eye, I mean, it looks okay in hand. It feels like it's higher contrast on the camera. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take just a touch of this guy. Just a little bit of the umber, real thin, right? Like barely barely want to change. I want to darken the eye just a tiny bit. Now you might be asking, Eric, where's the glint in the other eye? Well, if his eye's in shadow, then it really won't connect. The like spot where it would hit a highlight would not be visible to the other eye. So normally I say like always paint the white dots of the eyes, but because I want to like sell that idea that this eye is actually in shadow, which means I probably need to like actually push some of the shadow a little bit more, make this shape a little more clear. Right, like his upper eyelid is really, or his eyebrows, sorry, are really like putting that eye in shadow. So it's something like that. Overrated. Thanks for the Prime. 14 months. Appreciate it. Hi, Dave. Okay, we need to make an adjustment here. So the light comes over this cheek just a touch. So we can get that lower eyelid in there. Right, something close to this. This requires really small adjustments to like nail the fact that this part is in shadow. I think something like that. Okay. Hi, Dim. So we have kind of his face sketched out. Now there's definitely room for further adjustments. Some areas could be more rounded. Some areas could be slightly sharper on the details. Like here, I'd like around his nostril, this light, I'm going to connect these. Fix this shape. don't want too much of a transition right here, so I'm going to soften this guy. All right. Let's put it on. Let's see what he looks like. Eh? No, he's not put all the way down, but give you an idea. All right. Oh, Ghoul Studio. Did I miss Ghoul? Overrated in Ghoul Studio. Thanks. Thanks for the primes. Appreciate you both. So, yeah, there's a kind of start. Obviously, I have to do his hand, finish his ear, work on the shadow side of his face more. But sort of from this angle, you can get the impression of where it's going. This is gonna bother me, so I'm just gonna like fix it real fast for the thumbnail. It is a very good mini. If you'd like to buy one for yourself, hey, there's the link. Or you can find the link in the description below if you're watching this on YouTube. And you also get Mark's video tutorial, so you can watch how Mark did his version. You can follow mine, follow Mark's, whatever. No, I don't have an affiliate link. There's no affiliate. This is not paid promotion. Mark just gave me a copy of, I guess technically he gave me one, but Mark's just a friend. And I like the figure, so. Anyways, yeah. So I think we'll stop there for tonight. If you found this interesting, like, subscribe, and all that. Share it with your friends.